Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of Mad River Valley Reality. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends at the 1824 House Inn. Hi, I'm Eric Friedman. I'm the Executive Director of the Mad River Valley Chamber of Commerce, and we're here doing our next episode of Mad River Valley Reality. And we're here today with Jessica Tompkins and Cory Stephenson. Welcome.
Thank you, Eric. Nice to be
Eric.
here.
Yeah, well, what we're here to talk about today is the volunteer effort in the community in the Mad River Valley and how that all kind of came down when this whole pandemic got started back in March. And things didn't quite go as we sort of expected them to go initially. You want to talk about that a little bit, Jessica?
Sure. Well, we can talk about how we got started. When COVID hit, I was sitting on the couch, and I think Claudia Beckard had posted a mutual aid on Facebook that Burlington had done, and said we should do this. And I said okay. So recreated it and got it sent out and started to garner volunteers that way.
Well, can you just maybe talk a little bit about what exactly the mutual aid is?
So that was a survey that went out to ask people if they were able to help out and to what capacity they could help out with. Things like delivery, shopping, donations, things like that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like there was an outpouring of people really wanted to help, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. What did we get? We got I think we ended it with 290 total. They slowly came in and built up. Yeah.
So 290 people volunteered to do something in some way. Leaves hardly anybody left in the valley to help out, right?
I know, right?
Well, that's the beauty of this community, is so many people want to step in and help out even when they might be needing help themselves. I was really surprised by the number of people signing up ready to go deliver groceries that, were actually in some of the high-risk categories, but they just wanted to make sure everyone was taken care of.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
So this idea of a mutual aid started out in Burlington, and we tried to recreate it here. And tell us about how that got going.
So then I reached out to Josh Schwartz, the planning district, right?
Yeah.
And he put me in touch with Rebecca Baruzzi and Fred Messner, and then there formed a little team of people that got together and started to figure out how we were going to do this and what we were going to try to work on.
Now, Rebecca and Fred, that was the emergency response team.
That was we were all part of the emergency response team. And then we did separate. The volunteers went more towards like household needs and created coordinators for each town. Cory is the Moortown coordinator. And then who else do we have, Cory?
So Marie Schmuckel with the Warren Library is the Warren coordinator. We have Sally Kendall in Waitsfield and Betsy Jondro in Fayston. And then we also recognize the need to create a phone number or a landline, a way that people could reach out if they weren't as savvy online. So we brought in Lynn Barnes to person the phone line, and she actually received quite a few calls. I would say that's probably the main way we had people reaching out asking for help.
Yeah. And then we had Kelly Bixby. Really, she was our tech guru. She really helped create the spreadsheet and divide it up for us and had us all organized, and we knew where to go and nobody could touch it because she had, it was great. It was well needed. I think we probably met there in the beginning a couple times a week, if not more. And then so we had that going, and then other parts of the volunteer response were like Joni Zweig and Charlie Hosford. We worked on the resiliency project where they Charlie created a board, I guess. You painted it white, and then you had a star, and each families could pick up this this packet and paint it whatever they wanted. They could, just design however they felt appropriate and represented resiliency. That was the goal.
It was great to see those around town, and it was really about just bringing the community together.
Yes.
We couldn't physically.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah, and just a reminder. So
They're still up, aren't they?
they are.
All over. It's kind of see them all over in kind of odd places and all over town.
I think, part of what we did too was really, we created a poster that had, on the poster, it was, if you needed help, you could go here. If you could help, you could go here. And we also had the website listed and our email address, and that went up all around town. And those are still up, because I think it's important to note that we're still up and running, especially, if we get a surge, which hopefully we won't, but we're, ready to go. We're prepped and prepared.
So, we mentioned earlier, we talked about how things didn't really necessarily go as we had planned. I mean, I think one of the big things was the issue regarding food. And can you maybe speak to that a little bit and kind of how, that need didn't kind of pan out the way everyone was expecting, but was still really important to deal with?
Yeah. So I guess basically it came down to neighbors really were helping neighbors already. We didn't get a lot of need for shopping. We didn't, the food shelf didn't get hit really hard. We did do the secondary food drive, but that food sat there and then actually was absorbed by the food shelf later. So and people were calling all the time, like, we want to help, we want to be able to do something, but it's not like Irene. When Irene hit, there's physical jobs to do. It just wasn't there. But people didn't. I mean, there was the $600 went to each person who was unemployed, and then there was the emergency EBT, the food stamps, and I think with the combination of those, I'll backtrack a little. Once we created our team, we also then became part of like Washington and Orange County's regional response. So there was meetings each week from them, and this was across the board that people were not seeing a huge need at like food shelves and things like that. And we all speculated that it was due to the $600 in the EBT. It was a pandemic EBT that was given out.
Since that has gone away and that whole program has expired, are we seeing a need develop?
The food shelves are starting to pick back up, but no, it hasn't. Not in our region, not in this part of Vermont. Places that have really hit hard are like Barry, St. Johnsbury, Rutland. Those guys are seeing that, and Chittenden County.
Has there been coordination between other communities at all, in just terms in just best practices and what's worked and what doesn't work, or is that? Just curious.
We were in touch. That's what the regional response was. It was like we were like every day. It was like, how are you guys doing this? What would you suggest? What did we do? We created protocols to help deliver food. We got hand sanitizer, right?
Yeah, so one of the big efforts in the beginning was to try to secure PPE for people that were volunteering. So Mad River Distilleries generously donated some hand sanitizer, and we got masks and gloves that we were able to hand out as needed to people that were volunteering.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the other things I noticed too is when this thing got started, and it meant a lot to me because as from the Chamber of Commerce, I'm interacting with the businesses so much, was to seeing businesses that were really hurting. The restaurants that were closed and lodge owners that were closed, and how they reacted and kind of stepped up when they had every right to be thinking of themselves.
Yeah.
And
good example is Think Tank, Anne-Marie Fury. Her and Freddie Graves, I would call it Team Zorro, or it was the Zorro Project at first. It was Masks for All, and they gathered other mask makers, and really, the amount of masks that they produce was incredible.
Right.
And so beneficial for the community.
Yeah, one of the other episodes we had actually Anne-Marie on to talk
Oh,
about
did
that.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, good, yes.
So it was really good. It was really good to have her. But I was thinking about some of the restaurants too, and how they really stepped up and were offering their kitchens and offering food and offering storage.
Offering freezing. Yeah, I think the community fund ended up paying a bunch of the restaurants a certain amount of money to freeze food in case it was necessary. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everybody, Mad River Everyone Eats was also initiated during that time.
Right,
Yeah.
and that was actually another. I mean, this whole series we've been talking about how the response of our community, and Lorian and Kim from the Round Barn came in and talked about MRV Eats and how that's developing.
Yeah.
And what's cool is that it's going to keep going. It's still going now, and I think what's really nice is that they're really seeing it as a long-term project going forward, long beyond the pandemic, which is really good. And I think there's some other things, that are going to be part of this community for a long time, like the farm stand over here.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I thought you might want to talk about that a little bit, right?
Sure. So so after everything was settled down, just had the idea of creating a victory garden, and from that victory garden, the Mad Stand was created. So the food from the victory garden was sold at the Mad Stand. And community members also donated to the Mad Stand, and that money is going to the food shelf. So it's just kind of like a nice closed circuit food system.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it'll definitely be going next year.
And just so everyone knows, we're here at American Flatbread, and it's Mad Stand's right over here.
It is, yes.
That's closed for the season now, right?
Yep. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But that was really a cool thing to see, and I think you guys were generating a fair amount of revenue from that, more than you ever imagined,
Yeah,
right?
we definitely were surprised. Didn't have any idea, but yeah, it was nice. I think it's close to $1,000 that we raised, which was great.
And where do those funds go to?
We're gonna give. We'll hold on to some for to keep the project going, and then also the remainder will go to the food shelf.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I always keep thinking and looking back at how these different organizations and people contribute, and you're a librarian in Moortown, and I mean I was pretty impressed with what the libraries were doing. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So 2 of us are involved in this volunteer response, and I think at the core, libraries really are there to serve the community they're in, and we had to close our doors, but many of us around the state and in the valley here, we were able to still offer some curbside services, so people could get books or puzzles, and sort of the mental health aspect of being isolated and in quarantine. For so many months, it was definitely an important service for people, and then being able to serve as that clearinghouse for people looking for help, and point them to the Mad River Valley Volunteer Response Team. Because another big piece of it is the technology, and that many people that weren't really living a life online suddenly had to learn how to live their life online. And that has always been a big part of libraries' work, is helping people access information and resources, particularly online. So,
I mean, I think one of the interesting things is, people have spoken about silver linings of this whole pandemic and everything. And one of the things that I've heard from people is that folks that maybe didn't necessarily use the libraries necessarily in the past realize what an important part of the community it is, and how they served, not just lending books.
Right, and a lot of people came to us. We did a series of virtual trivia nights.
Oh yes.
Which were quite fun on a variety of
It
topics.
never made me feel more dumb.
Wait, which one did you do?
I don't want to talk about it.
Was it the local one? We started with a Harry Potter night. We did a few different themes like that, fan fiction kind of themes, and then we partnered with the Friends of the Mad River to do a local one, and they were just really fun. And again, we had a lot of people, chime in that they had never been to a library program before, so it was kind of exciting to reach a new group of people in the community, and we're hopefully going to start that back up again once it gets a little darker and colder out.
Which inevitably happens,
Yes,
doesn't it?
yes.
Yep. So I know the shopping for people who shouldn't have been out was a really important piece of the volunteer effort, and it ended up being a lot more logistically difficult than folks imagined initially, right?
Yeah, so I think again, doing all this work up front in March when there was sort of this pressure of trying to be ready has really set us up for anything that comes down the road, because one of the issues is having different grocery stores with different rules and guidelines and different capabilities, whether they could accept online ordering or phone call ordering, or whether a volunteer would actually have to go in and do the shopping. So it was quite a lot of logistics to figure out a seamless way to help volunteers do that shopping for people.
Now,
Yeah.
wasn't the shopping, there's still shopping for people doing quarantine, that are quarantined now, right?
Yeah, anybody could call us right now, and we would. Yeah, if you have to be shot or are quarantined or isolating, we would set you up.
So second homeowners that are coming up.
Yep, that was
here
another initiative that came out for the summer, because everyone was worried about out-of-staters coming in and the possible threat of a surge, and so
Well, really being able to support our second homeowners,
and
Right.
yes, that was
do the right thing,
Yeah.
which I'm sure they all wanted to do.
Right.
right. We
Yeah.
wanted them to know that we were here for them also. And so so basically garnered some more volunteers, put that out in the paper, put it out to real estate agencies and property managements, and said, hey, this is available if you need it. Matt Blood was the lead on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really nice to see our community reach out to that second homeowner community, because it's such a big part of who we are here. And
Yeah.
I think there was some negativity regarding second homeowners, and I think this was a really, again, silver linings, where we could show that they are part of our community.
Yeah.
and an integral part of our community.
Yep.
And trying to help everyone do the right thing, which is good, and keep everybody safe,
Yeah.
which is nice. We talk about unintended, things that have come out of this. We ended up getting some music out of this, huh?
Oh, we did. Yes. We'll have to add that to the show. It was. It went along with the project that Charlie and Joni started, and Amanda Gates too. I want to mention Amanda because she was integral in that, and organizing all those pickup and deliveries of the boards. And they just created a beautiful song, and they wrote it, produced it. It was just
Yeah, it's really cool to see some things that came out of the grift. Had a great COVID-related song that they did online.
Oh yeah, the Lawson's one.
Some
Right.
product placement.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Yes, for sure. And it was nice. I mean, that was one of the things that came out of this. I think some of the the humor and goodness in the community really shined through, which was pretty cool.
And it made new connections for people too. Like I didn't know Anne Marie or Freddie prior to that, and a bunch of other people. So that was nice. Those new connections.
Yeah, and so you said that there were some of 200 and some odd people were volunteered to volunteer.
They volunteered to volunteer.
And that list is still being used, isn't it?
So to a certain extent, we were really cautious on. We didn't want to take advantage of anybody. So if they signed up for the COVID-related issues, and that is what they received. I did put an email out saying, if you would like to be given opportunities for other volunteers or other volunteer opportunities, then we have a separate list for that. But I wanted to be very respectful of people and not. Because there was after that there's a lot of volunteer things that came available, but
Right. So do you see any as things move forward going into the winter, do you see things changing? Do you anticipating need?
It's really hard to say. What is your favorite
Hard
thing?
telling, not knowing, right?
Not knowing.
I think we're all in that
Reverse
boat
ski
right now.
reports.
Yeah, like what do we have no idea what to expect. Yeah, but we're ready. We're prepped and ready to go. I mean, that's the beauty about the volunteer response is like we do have the website, and we have the team is still willing, and the coordinators are all willing to participate and continue on.
So there's a good foundation laid.
There's a good foundation, yeah.
And I think I can imagine that hopefully when this pandemic's done, the next crisis that comes along, which is inevitable, something will go wrong.
Right,
It always
there
does,
you go.
right?
Right. Cory, you're signed up forever.
Yeah, but that foundation's there,
Yeah.
and that template's there for
Yep.
for the future, which is really great.
Yeah.
And really just solidifies what already happens in our community.
Yes.
I mean, we see that time and time again. It's one of the reasons I love living here. Just everyone's willing to step up and step in when they need to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did we anything else that we need to talk about?
I don't.
Did you mention everyone that you wanted to?
Anything else on those green notes?
I don't get another so
Yeah.
obvious, right? I think that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank Jessica Tompkins and Cory Stephenson for joining us today. Really appreciate, what you guys have done for our community and getting all these people together so that they can also support people here in the Mad River Valley that are in need. So thanks so much for coming.
Well, thanks for having us, Eric.
Thank you.
All right.
Look at the stars. Look at the stars. Oh, these hills are green and strong, and the river's deep and long. When the water runs, it fills our hearts with love. Though these times are so unknown, and you may feel like you're alone, when the path you know is dark and cold, we are there to bring you home. We'll bring you home. Whenever you need it, just look around. You know you can feel it. Love is all around. And when you are feeling so down, look at the stars. Look at the stars. Through hardships and triumphs, we have come out strong. This feeling of hope, it keeps us going on. 5 golden angels keep us safe from harm. Our lives will be written into history. The family we've built in this community. Lord knows how far we've come from where we started. We've never parted. No. Whenever you need it, just look around. You know you can feel it. Love is all around. And when you are feeling so down, look at the stars. Look at the stars. Look at the stars. Look at the stars. Oh, these hills are green and strong, and the river's deep and long. When the water runs, it fills our hearts with love. Though these times are so unknown, and you may feel like you're alone, when the path you know is dark and cold, we are there to bring you home. We'll bring you home. Whenever you need it, just look around. You know you can feel it. Love is all around. And when you are feeling so down, look at the stars. Look at the stars. Through hardships and triumphs, we have come out strong. This feeling of hope, it keeps us going on. 5 golden angels keep us safe from harm. Our lives will be written into history. The family we've built in this community. Lord knows how far we've come from where we started, but we've never parted. No. Whenever you need it, just look around. You know you can feel it. Love is all around, and when you are feeling